useful. We saw Philip use Seismitoad very nicely in top 8 against Nico. And of course, there we see Nico Alabas, who, I mean, he's Volcanion Turtonator. This is a deck which I picked before the tournament, the deck which I thought was going to come to victory, but of course, Fabien's got a really good deck here. He's got the ability lock, he's got Trashalanche, and we are off. And it looks a bit like the previous game with Turtonator and Volcanion facing off against each other. And straight away we see a Hypnotoxic Laser, we get the poison, but we don't get sleep.
Yeah, don't worry about it, Turtonator. This is not another mirror match. Turtonator is just splashed into Fabien's deck. You called it Garbodor Stuff deck. If he wins, maybe he can name his deck, because you haven't seen something like this on stream before.
We could see a very, very quick win here. If Nico is able to get 2 Fire Energy in the discard and 1 in the hand, and then play a Blacksmith, he wins. If he gets an energy on Volcanion, plays a Blacksmith to get 2 more energy onto Volcanion, Volcanic Heat is actually hitting Turtonator for weakness and will do 260 damage on the first turn of the game. We could be seeing a good old-fashioned turn 1 win, which is supposed to be gone from this format. Now we see the steam up. It's irrelevant, but it gets the energy in the discard, and he's got a Shaman in hand. If he's got the Blacksmith. He is 1 energy away from winning the game, and I know he's got a Shaman in hand.
Is this happening?
This might happen. Here comes a Shaman. Does he get the energy? Oh, let us see your hand.
Has he missed it?
I think he must have done. He hasn't played it yet. Oh, that's got to be heartbreaking for Nico. Oh, my goodness. Fabien must have been holding his breath. I mean...
Unbelievable. He plays like 170 fire energy or so. He missed it.
That was crazy. I can't believe he missed them. He's playing 17 basic fire energy.
Fabien can't believe his luck that he's still in this. Look at his face. He's playing a Chorus for free, which is more than suboptimal, but he's trying to hang on somehow.
Is it more than suboptimal or less than suboptimal?
It is suboptimal. Let's agree on that. I don't know. You're the native speaker here.
Oh, let's not argue about language, sir. Now, the Chorus here is only getting 3 cards, but would you believe it? He gets a Seismitoad and a Shaman for 5 cards.
This is going well, I would say.
That is about the best 3-card Chorus I have ever seen. Yeah, that was amazing.
Nico is so crushed. I mean, he was so short, going up 1-0 in this match, in the final match, and now all of a sudden Fabien is building up his setup. It's looking really, really good for him now, and he's probably going to go for Shell Trap this turn.
He went for Shell Trap, actually.
There we go.
And now Nico can attach an energy and attack, but of course, if he does, he gets KO'd back by the Shell Trap damage. Now, we can see Nico's actually got 3 basic energy prize, but even so, he had 14 in his deck. Oh, never mind. Right, we're going to have to stop talking about that sooner or later. So we do see the end coming down here from Nico, and now this is a fairly awkward position. He can easily get the KO if he draws an energy, but then he gets KO'd back. He's played an end, so there's no Blacksmith coming out. He will lose all of his energy, and then Fabien can just start doing that thing that Fabien wants to do, and just using Quaking Punch.
Yeah, these situations in turn number 1, when you have a window of opportunity to close it right there and you're going after it, sometimes comes back to bite you, because if you don't get there, you got in a more difficult situation than you were in, because you haven't decided to go for the usual setup, like, for example, a turn 1 Kiawe. Now Nico has to find a way to get back into this game.
He does, and I mean, it's such a difficult decision. I'm trying to decide, if I'm Nico here, am I using Volcanic Heat? On the one hand, you take out a Pokemon, and you take 2 prizes, and you get rid of their energy in their Fighting Fury bout, but on the other hand, you give up 2 prizes, and you pass it to your opponent's turn. So, it's a big decision here for Nico, and I really don't know what the right decision is. Had he been able to take the KO while using a Blacksmith, that would have been great, because he would have had the energy on the field. But it looks like, I mean, he could just retreat here using those free energy, but that is a lot of wasted energy for no real gain. So it looks like he might just go for the KO here and kind of cross his fingers a little bit.
Yeah, he recovered a Blacksmith there with a Versus Cure because he knows the Quaking Punch is coming. He goes for the trade there, and Fabien promotes his Trubbish.
And I like this because he's got the Tapu Lele, which can take a hit from anything on Fabien's side of the field, and he's already got the Float Stone, so he can do that retreating action. and the Versus Seeker before the Quaking Punch was brilliant, but we do see an end down to 4 here, and this really is what Fabien wants to do. Put his opponent at a fairly low hand size, get the ability lock going, and then just start using Quaking Punch. He's not doing much damage, but he's basically looking his opponent out of abilities and items. And to be honest here, if I'm Nico, I am desperate to see a Kiawe in my hand.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see Fabien playing an N and every once in a while because he's playing so fast. It's really tough to keep track of here. There's a Tails on the Hypnotoxic Laser. What else does he have?
It's going to just be a Quaking Punch, 60 including the poison damage. And, I mean, that Tapu Lele really needs to retreat here. Otherwise, this is, I mean, it's going to add up very, very quickly. With a Choice Band, it is, to all intents and purposes, a 2-hit KO. So, a small break there from Nico that there was no Choice Band on that Seismitoad. Otherwise, he'd be on 90 here. But either way, this is going to add up very quickly. And we just see a Professor Sycamore here. So, now Nico will be able to retreat the Tapu Lele next turn without seeing it KO'd in between, but he's then presumably going to have 150 damage on 170 HP Tapu Lele, which would then open the door for Fabien to even just use a Tapu Koko to take the KO. So I think he had to retreat there, as annoying as that was.
Yeah, Nico promotes a Shaman EX. He doesn't like it, but what else can he do at this point? He still doesn't find himself a Kiawe, so he's trying to hang on here with just one fire energy attached to the hole.
And that Kiawe miss was so big there. You saw he ended his turn without attacking. There was nothing he wanted to do. He just wants energy. Kiawe would have been beautiful. And we saw in the second game when Nico was playing Philip, if you get the Turtonator out in the mid-game against a Seismitoad and use Nitro Tank GX, that hurts.
One energy now to the active Shaman. It is, he could retreat it, but at the same time he doesn't really like it, but still he doesn't have a Kiawe. He just passes it over. Really a lost turn for Nico here.
It really is. We do see the computer search coming down here from Fabien. What's he going for? I mean, to be honest, a Hypnotoxic Laser would be quite good here, or he could go for a Guzma. It looks like he's actually gone Fighting Fury Bout, which I cannot disagree with, because, of course, Fighting Fury Bout puts him out of range for Ho-Oh. It would take 2 Steam-Ups, and, oh yeah, he's ability locked. He can just use a Field Blower to turn off the ability lock. Oh, no, wait, he can't, because he's also item locked. This guarantees that Seismitoad will be able to take a hit from Ho-Oh. And all we see there is just a Sky Return, but there's no double colourless that Nico plays.
Yeah, the Sky Return here is interesting because if Nico can attach Fire Energy after Fire Energy, and as long as Fabien is not finding himself a Hypnotoxic Laser, he could always Sky Return. It's like a 2-turn loop of Sky Return, but it would buy him some time. That's exactly what he's trying to do now.
It's a really awkward Sky Return loop when you're not playing double colourless energy, but it is absolutely an option, and at the moment, the problem is he needs energy. And a couple of turns ago, we're thinking, right, well, it's fine. He's going to Kiawe onto the Ho-Oh, and we've seen this throughout the weekend. Ho-Oh beats Seismitoad if you can get the 4 energy on, and if there's no Fighting Fury Bout on the Seismitoad. As it stands at the moment, I mean, the one card Nico wants more than any other right now, other than Kiawe, I suppose, is Field Blower. Field Blower would be huge, but he's item locked.
Yeah, at some point, if Nico can find in between those 2 Sky Return loop turns, if he can find a Kiawe, that would be huge. He can now attach another Fire Energy to the active Shaman. If he now had that Kiawe, that would be huge, because next turn he could manual attach to the Shaman again, another Sky Return, save it from being knocked out, and keep on attacking this way. So the Seismitoad would actually be worn down bit by bit here.
And, of course, if he can get 2 Sky Returns off, that would then bring Seismitoad down to, well, 120, 160 with the Fighting Fury belt. And then that would be enough to get the KO with Ho-Oh. So, another energy, and then a Sky Return, and then a Kiawe, and then an attack. That would be great. So really, this is the turn for Kiawe. You want to get the Kiawe on a turn you're not using Sky Return. It's not a Kiawe, but it's not a million miles away. I like this from Nico.
It's something.
One more Sky Return, then he can potentially use... Oh, he's going for it right now, actually, which is not bad at all. I think he does need to discard that Fire Energy, though, because it doesn't have free retreat right now, that Shaman. And then he should, in theory, be able to attach an energy next turn and get the KO.
Yeah, so that fire energy needs to go, I think, from Shaman, unless we missed something there. I'm not too sure about it. But at the same time, Fabien is using the Versus Seeker here. He is recovering his Ace Roller and picking up the Garbodor. So that means for now the Pokemon abilities are back on. Thankfully, because Ross mentioned it, the fire energy is now indeed off. And the Garbodor is back on.
Oh, we got a great team here today, ladies and gentlemen. Little things like that happen. It's the final. You're nervous. But we're here to make sure these little mistakes get fixed, along with our wonderful backstage crew. Now, we actually saw there, it looked like an Ace Roller coming out to pick up the Garbodor and then kind of put it down again after using a Shaman. It's a little bit awkward, to be perfectly honest. It looked like he was playing an Ace Roller there. I quite would have liked to see the Ace Roller coming down on the Seismitoad to heal it up. As it stands at the moment, I don't know where Nico's going with this, because I'm just thinking he's still... Phoenix Burn doesn't KO. We found out in the last game, 210 will not KO a Fighting Fury Belted Seismitoad.
Fair point, yeah.
So he's just using Sacred Fire here. Now, next turn, Phoenix Burn will get the KO. So I think we really... And yes, I wanted to say this a couple turns ago. I never got chance. Save the lasers for Ho-Oh. You don't really care about Shaman. He's going to Sky Return. But you really want to use lasers to try and take down Ho-Oh. If you can put the Ho-Oh to sleep, it can't use Phoenix Burn. Unfortunately, Fabien is having no luck with his laser flips today.
Yeah, he doesn't know heads on this one, so Ho-Oh is free to use his Phoenix Burn right now and will take the knockout on the Seismitoad, will bring Nico down to 2 prize cards. But at the same time afterwards, what else is he going to have on his board? Luckily for him, the Burbank City Gym is not out there, so he can use Scorched Earth. He also brings another Volcanion EX in play, but I'm not sure what else he has in hand. I think he just announced for the attack.
He needs a Blacksmith and a Guzma in that order. He can Blacksmith onto either the Turtonator or the Volcanion, then manually attach an energy, and then Guzma that Shaman on Fabien's bench to go and get the KO. And I think that's really the win here, because I believe we already... No, we don't have a Fighting Fury bout on the Seismitoad. What Nico could do here, and this is a very awkward play, if his Ho-Oh would last long enough, he could kind of just chill in the active for a turn, use Sacred Fire, and then use Phoenix Burn for the KO. That's asking quite a lot, to be perfectly honest. I think really here he wants a Blacksmith and he wants a Guzma, but remember that for as long as Fabien's using Seismitoad, and we know Quaking Punch is coming out this turn, we've got the Floatstone on the active, the Seismitoad ready to go, there's no Versus Seeker. So it's all well and good me sitting here behind the desk going, well, he just needs these 2 supporters. But he needs to draw them without Versus Seeker.
Yeah, Fabien is content to just keep on Quaking Punching together with the poison damage. That's 40 more damage, so 140 damage right now on the Ho-Oh. So Nico, if he can retreat somehow or play a Guzma combination, he would be able to get another attack in.
And he needs to retreat here, because the maths works out perfectly for Fabien. 1 damage count, 1 poison will be taken from Ho-Oh, then Fabien will hit for 30, then the poison comes in and knocks out the Ho-Oh, so he couldn't retreat it next turn. Nico had to retreat it this turn. And Blacksmith here would be wonderful, but you know that Fabien really is going to want a Guzma of his own next turn, if he can find one.
Yeah, there we go. Just a pass, unfortunately. Burbank City is down. Professor Juniper, there is another Fighting Fury belt on the active Seismitoad and another Quaking Punch. The players are really quick here.
They are going for it. I like this. A nice brisk pace of play. Again, Blacksmith, Guzma. That is what Nico's really looking for here. Here's the Blacksmith. He's actually choosing to go to the non-EX Volcanion, which is an interesting play, but what he can, of course, do here is he can Power Heater, and I love this because that's got a retreat cost of 2. So he can now manually retreat it, and now he can build up multiple attackers for that Guzma play coming up in the future. So this is a really nice play from Nico. I love that he went non-GX Volcanion, non-EX Volcanion, Blacksmith, he can retreat. And to be honest, because Seismitoad's damage is quite low here, then he's got one more turn of Power Heater, and there's no other non-GXs on the field, so Fabien doesn't get any closer to winning by knocking out this Volcanion.
Yeah, Fabien is just content to Quaking Punch here. He doesn't do anything at all, just a Quaking Punch here. So this is the most important thing for him right now. Limit Nico to not play any item cards whatsoever. Volcanion now has 80 damage. There's another Scorched Earth, so Burbank City Gym goes down again. And now let's see what Nico is deciding to go with as his next attack.
Because Fabian's getting the KO next turn, right? That's fine. But he's then has 3 prizes left, so he still has to KO two prize Pokemon to win the game. Nico here, he's basically trading a Blacksmith to get 2 turns of attachments. He's basically used a Blacksmith onto the non-EX Volcanion to get 4 energy onto the bench, and now Guzma wins the game. He's got the Ho-Oh and the Turtonator ready to go. This is huge for Nico, but he doesn't have items, so he can't use Versus Seeker. He doesn't have abilities, so he can't use Steam Up. He's got to actually have the Guzma here. Or maybe even just go Shell Trap.
Yeah, and I think Fabien can't wait now. I think he's trying to attach as many cards as he can right now. There's even a Trash Lens Garbodor, and I wouldn't be surprised if he would decide to go with the N, just to limit Nico's resources in hand. I'm not quite sure how many cards Nico has in hand, but at this point I think Fabien has to go with the N here.
I think the N here's got to be the play.
Never mind.
I like the Ace Roller play, and I was going to say, we need to know how many items are in the discard. Maybe Garbodor could be a good attacker here. But I think, I think Fabien is just choosing to give up the game. Did Nico show the Guzma there?
I think he flashed the Guzma there, if I saw correctly, in his hand. So the N would have been potentially the better play. But, well, it's easy for us to say here.
I know. And again, I mean, one thing I always make a point of when we're commentating, we can see flashes of their hand, but we can't sit and look through their discard piles. And we can't always get a good look at their hand. So when we're commentating, the players are working on more information than we are. But I think it's a very good game there from Nico, and I love what Fabien did, because Nico is just doing big KO, big KO, big KO, big KO. The way Fabien slows that down is using Seismitoad, and we saw how well he did that. But then Nico, he's got Kiawe, he's got Blacksmith, he's got Power Heater. The one way you stop Volcanion winning is to try and limit the energy they have on the field. But Volcanion decks know this, so they've just got so many tricks to get energy on the field.
Yeah, if you remember this game correctly, I think Nico had so many slow turns when Quaking Punch wasn't even on. So Nico was very unlucky with the cards that he drew in the beginning of the game, but somehow, with all the damage spread on his field, he still managed to hang on and get the win here with probably the Guzma. We didn't see it, but this is what I would suspect.
Yeah, either that or it may be that it could just be that Fabien thought, you know what, this game's going on too long, I am just never going to win it. I want to go to game 2 and try my luck there. Now, we don't see terrible prizes from... I'm lying to you. Fabien's got 2 double colourless energy prize, which I believe was the case in his game against Mark that we streamed.
Yeah, that's pretty bad for him. Those double colorless energy won't be in his hand for quite some time, because they are not at the bottom of the prize cam. You can't see this right now on screen, but they are 2 double colorless, and he needs those for his Seismitoad.
Seismitoad becomes a lot less effective when you can't find the double colourless energy to use for the Quaking Punch. So that might be a little bit of an issue.
The good news for him here is he has access to an Ultra Ball in the first turn, so he should be able to process this data right now. He should know by now that there are only 2 double colorless energy in his deck.
And he's got 2 turns to find it. He didn't get one there, but he's got next turn. The double colourless doesn't really do anything for him this turn anyway. He got the Hypnotoxic Laser, he got the Burbank City Gym, he got the heads on the Hypnotoxic Laser. So this is not a bad turn from Fabien at all. He's getting going. And you know he's a little bit worried, because just like in the last game, Energy Blacksmith will get Nico 2 prizes on the first turn of the game. So this is big for Fabien. He was able to get multiple Pokemon out and that Seismitoad, and it's ahead, so he does wake up. Is he going to be able to get the Bright Flame going, or may he even just maybe try a Blacksmith so that he can Shell Trap in anticipation of that Seismitoad potentially coming out and using those Quaking Punch shenanigans?
Yeah, many options here. You could go for a Kiawe, could go for a Blacksmith, could go for manual attachments, for Steam Ups. Let's see what Nico is going for. He, of course, takes his time, first of all, to go through his deck. Also needs to know what kind of cards are priced. You'll be happy to see that there are not too many important cards there. And he decides to go for a Shaman to dig for some more cards in round number 1.
And I like this. I mean, turn 1 Blacksmith play for the Turtonator decks are so much fun. It's kind of mean to your opponent. But, you know, going ahead and using that Shaman to draw some cards, that Blacksmith's not the be-all and end-all. Again, Kiawe onto a Ho-Oh is still a really good play. But we see a steam up there from Nico. And again, this is kind of irrelevant here because he's already got the KO on a Shaman, but he wanted the energy. Here's the Blacksmith, and we might see a Shell Trap here unless he's got another energy.
Now he needs another energy again with the Shaman. He missed it in the turn 1. I think he has it. If he wants it, he has it.
And there is the question here. Does he want to Shell Trap with that? Oh no, to be honest, he doesn't really want the Shell Trap here. Because of course, when Seismitoad comes in, if he's got a double colourless, 60 damage will be on because of the laser. And then Quaking Punch will do 80 to put him up to 140. So there's so much damage on there. I like the idea here for Nico of just using Bright Flame, get the KO. He won't be KO'd, I don't think. But even so, I think just taking the KO, taking those 2 prizes, because we saw in the previous game when he had a couple turns where he was just kind of being Quaking Punched and chilling, he was able to build his board state, and that's what really led him to victory in the previous game.
In this case, he goes for a Tapu Lele and getting a Professor Sycamore. He goes with the Fire Energy, so he does have it. He can take the knockout on the Shaman, and he does, and picks up the early 2 prize cards here.
I really like this play from Nico. He's got time to use stuff like Kiawe. And, we see a heads here. Now, this could be quite big, of course, because as it stands, I don't think this is being KO'd this turn. Quaking Punch will do 80, putting up to 140, plus the laser would put up to 170, which is not enough to get a KO. It would KO going back into Fabien's turn. But, of course, we could see here something like a Blacksmith and then Bright Flame for 160, and that Seismitoad will be under a lot of pressure. And he did hit the computer search, which is huge because remember, 2 double colorless prize. He needed that. He was under he was under pressure to find that.
Yeah, he knows he has to preserve those double colorless energy. Maybe also opting to prioritize getting the AC roller if he needs it throughout the game. But this is not going to be a knockout. No, he has to wake up, and it's Tails, which is really awkward for Nico because if he can't find a way to retreat it, it will be knocked out going into Fabien's turn, and this opens up another opportunity for Fabien to get more damage into a different Pokemon.
The only option he's got is Guzma. I love this play from Nico. Just give up on the Turtonator. It's really harsh. It's terrible, but there's nothing you can really do here. You've got to kind of give up the Turtonator, so you might as well get some energy on the board while you do so.
Yeah, the question is, what is he going to promote here? Maybe again, Shaman, because we've seen this before. As long as there's no Hypnotoxic Laser, Shaman can Sky Return it off in 2 turns, but in this case, he goes with the Tapu Lele. Also, only 1 retreat cost.
It's just making sure that he's got something that can take a hit. Quaking Punch, even with something like Hypnotoxic Laser, it takes a while to build up enough damage. Although there comes the Garbodor, that's huge, because it means that there is no possibility of the Ho-Oh taking a KO.
And there's the Hypnotoxic Laser putting more pressure on the Tapu Lele, even again putting it to sleep. So another flip for Nico that is going to be very important. Fabien is running away with this game.
And I said previously that Fabien was not being able to get any heads on laser.
There's one.
He's making up for it, quite frankly. And he got the Psychic Energy on Seismitoad, which means if he were to play something, if that Seismitoad were to go down, he doesn't need a second. He doesn't need that double colorless. He can just use basic energy. I really like that from Fabien. It's a really nice heads-up play.
Yeah, it's really tough for Nico now. So the energy situation is not optimal. He only has 2 energy to the Ho-Oh. So is he going to use the GX attack here?
He could, I suppose.
Oh,
he's got Blacksmith. Oh, this is cool. It really doesn't matter which attack he uses here. They add up to 230 and get the KO. He can't use Phoenix Burn. Now, actually, no, it does matter. I'm lying to you. Because, yeah, there's the Ace Roller. Because then he could have used Sacred Fire to get the KO and then Phoenix Burns the following turn. So no, that did actually make quite a big difference. And here again, he gets the basic energy down, so next turn he can go double colorless.
Oh, this hurts a lot. So Nico, again, in a very difficult situation there. Of course, the poison is healed off. Tapu Lele is already on the bench. He plays a Professor Sycamore. He does not have access to item cards, as he didn't have it for many, many turns. So Nico's options are very very much limited. Again, he would have to move the Ho-Oh for it to be able to attack again. And it doesn't look like
he only used Sacred Fire, so he's fine. No, he used Phoenix Burn, but he can still use Sacred Fire this turn. Phoenix Burn only stops you using Phoenix Burn the following turn, so he can use Sacred Fire.
All right.
So he's all good on that front, but he is doing it in the wrong order, because you really want a Phoenix Burn, get the KO with Sacred Fire, and then be able to Phoenix Burn the new Pokemon that comes up. As it is, he's going to have to Oh, he's got another Ace Roller!
Well.
Oh, that's upsetting. But he can still just Sacred Fire next turn.
And there's again the Fighting Fury belt, so Fabien doesn't like any damage on his board. And the double colorless energy, very well done by Fabien. He knows the double colorless energy is a rare good for him right now, and he recovers it immediately again with Acerola.
Do you want to know something annoying?
Please.
He's got Versus Seeker in his hand.
Oh,
so he can just Ace Roller again next turn.
You won't believe what happens next.
You won't believe what happens next. So here we're going to see Sacred Fire for 50. Oh no, we are going to see the Phoenix Burn, because this is the correct order, like I've said a couple of times and keep forgetting myself. But he can just go Ace Roller. And the thing is, Ho-Oh can take quite a few. He can take quite a few Quaking Punches. The problem is, sooner or later, he will get KO'd. And if Fabien can use enough Ace Rollers... Oh, he's going Colress here.
Colress, so no Acerola, so you would never have believed what happened next. It is going to be a Colress for the full 10, is it? Or no, it's a 9, I believe. And it's going to be very interesting, because we had a similar situation like this in game number 1. Nico was... slowly but surely able to climb back into this game, and now maybe Fabien is not fast enough to put that damage onto Nico's board, and Nico might be able to pull this off somehow.
So he gets the KO here.
Yeah.
And this is what's huge, because he can get the KO with Sacred Fire, which means next turn Phoenix Burn is on the table. So if a new side... Oh, he's got a Fighting Fury belt already. Fair enough. I was going to say if he didn't have a Fighting Fury belt, that would be fine, but he does. Of course he does.
Yeah, we haven't seen any Trasher Lands action from Fabien, so I would wonder how many item cards are in Nico's discard pile. I would believe there are not too many because of the item lock that is going on, but he might have discarded a couple with the Professor Sycamore that Nico has played.
Yes, and of course, sooner or later in every game it starts to add up. Now, we're on 120. So this will get the KO. Laser... Oh, with a Fighting Fury bout.
I will switch the dice.
So he's actually choosing to just pass here with Garboda in the active, it looks like.
It will go up to 150 in this case for the Ho-Oh, plus 40 damage if he attaches to the Fighting Fury belt. So that would just be enough to knock out the Ho-Oh.
I was going to say, yeah.
There we go.
They were talking about dice, and it looked like he was passing, which was very strange. So yeah, it's got to be the Fighting Fury bout here, because the maths works out perfectly. The slight delay was there were 3 4s on there, and they chose to switch it to 2 6s to make it easier to see. But that's very confusing when you're watching, because when they start changing dice, you're like, oh, he's just passing the turn. He's not.
Very important, but there's also a Seismitor without a Fighting Fury belt. So next turn again, if Nico somehow manages to find a Guzma together with a Steam Up, this could be enough to take away this match in the final.
Unfortunately, that Garboda is still out there with the Floatstone attached. There will be no Steam Ups, not in the near future.
That's right.
So... And one thing Fabien has done really nicely this game, he's managed to not put a Shaman down, which sounds like a really weird thing to congratulate for somebody for. Congratulations, you didn't play Shaman. But it's a huge deal, because Guzma would win the game now. So what we're going to see here is a Shell Trap, and then presumably we're going to try and see Shell Trap followed by a Bright Flame to take the win, but... Of course, Fabien, we know he's got options here. But if he just hits into Shell Trap, he will lose the game to an inevitable Bright Flame.
Yeah, this is really interesting to see what Nico is going for. There's the Shell Trap that you already announced, and Fabien looks like he doesn't have too many options. There's the Getses there, only one Versus Seeker. There's a Kiawe in Nico's hand. He doesn't need it at this point in the game, so Fabien only allowed to draw one more card. Nothing much he can do, really.
No, and the awkward thing is here that if Fabien uses Quaking Punch, it won't KO Turtonator, but there is absolutely no chance Nico does not get the return KO. But, so what does he hit here? I mean, what he really wants is maybe something like a Guzma to KO the Tapu Lele, or something like that. A Guzma or... a Pokemon Ranger, which I don't believe he actually plays, but of course, we just saw him play Getsis, so there will be no Guzma here. So, and he can't retreat unless he attaches a third energy, but then he's not got an attack. I think he's actually going to manually retreat the Seismitoad.
Yeah, at the same time, he did not attach any energy, I believe, last turn, so the attachment should have gone onto the Trasherlands Garbodor, which just evolved, so he could have gotten an attack in if he wanted to. But now this is really, really awkward because the Shell Trap is buying Nico some time here.
And I like, Fabien didn't attack into it last turn. He didn't want to take those 8 damage counters. But we're in the same situation here. I think what very may well happen is that the Seismitoad will manually retreat to the Garbodor so that the Garbodor can hit and then take... Yeah, and that's exactly what's going to happen. But then again, does he have a double colourless ready for next turn? He does, actually. He's got one in hand. And now...
They're trading 80 damage.
But Turtonator is in range now. That's what's big here. Seismitoad is not in Bright Flame range. Bright Flame will only put him on 200. That's not enough. But Turtonator will be taking... How much will he be taking from a Quaking Punch? He'll be taking 80, which isn't actually enough as
just
it
with
happens.
There would be like a Burbank City Gym and a Hypnotoxic Laser for Fabien to pick up the KO there.
That would exactly do it. So it would be 80, plus the 80 on would be 160, plus the Burbank City Gym Hypnotoxic Laser would be 190. So he's got the maths worked out. If he played Choice Band, he would get the KO straight away here. But he doesn't, so that's kind of a redundant point to make.
He has a Professor Sycamore in hand, so if there's no N coming from Nico, he might be able to dig for it if he wanted to. There is a Float Stone attached to the Garbodor, so in case it does not get knocked out, he could retreat, attach the double colorless to the Seismitoad, and go for it. We'll see if he's going, if he gets the chance to dig for it.
That has got to be the play here from Fabien. That is how he KOs this Turtonator. And might I remind you, Fabien only has 2 prizes left. KOing the Turtonator wins the game straight off. So as long as he can find double colourless and Hypnotoxic Laser and Burbank City Gym, that will give him the win. And what I love is that he's already, he's preempted this. He's got the Floatstone on Garbodor. So there's none of this can he retreat malarkey going on. He can definitely retreat here.
And Kiawe, I believe, is what Nico is eyeing out right now. Yeah, there we go, Kiawe. Very late in the game, Nico chooses this moment to go for it. So he gets more energy into play, preparing that one final blow, potentially, to bring home this game and win the match. Free energy attached to the Volcanion on the bench.
I like this. It's a one-prize Pokemon. We saw him do a very similar thing in the previous game. He could maybe Power Heater, or he could just Steam Artillery for 100. Seismitoad does not one-hit KO Volcanion. And when he 2-hit KOs it, he doesn't win the game because he's got 2 prizes remaining. So essentially, Nico's going here, you know what? I know that you can win the game with double colourless energy, Burbank City Gym, Hypnotoxic Laser, if you haven't played them all, and he might have done. He's played quite a lot of stuff. So he's basically saying, look, I'm going to give you a turn, and then it's my turn. Then I'm coming forward, and I know what I'm doing.
Wait a minute. Deidene coming out. This is amazing. We finally get to see it. Deidene becoming active here, and it attacks with the energy shot. Amazing stuff here in the finals.
60 damage from a Deidene. But what Nico could do here is he can actually just retreat the Turtonator here and then just take the KO with Steam Artillery. That would be an option. There's nothing... Oh, he's actually... Oh, Guzma, I love this. This is cool. This is lovely. So he's choosing to use the Guzma here, so he doesn't have to discard the energy off Turtonator, and he takes a KO, but a Guzma will still win the game for Fabien here. Guzma will win him the game, but if he had it, you've got to think he would have played it by now.
Yeah, he has a Tapu Lele, but at the same time, abilities are off because of his own Garbodor, so he can't play it.
Oh, that's upsetting. He doesn't have a Field Blower. You can get rid of your own tools with Field Blower, but no! We're just going to see a Quaking Punch for 80. This opens the door, ladies and gentlemen, greatly. What is that? Oh, he's got a Karen in his hand, is that? Karen doesn't do anything at this... Well, technically it does do something, but nothing that's particularly useful.
Yeah, Nico doesn't have access to Versus Seeker, so that's why Seismitoad is so powerful right now. So he's played his Guzma. I'm not sure. I think he's playing 2 Guzmas, but I think we have seen them both already in this game, if I'm not mistaken. We'll see.
So what we're going to see here is quite simply, we're just going to see the Volcanion attacking, and it doesn't actually matter which attack he uses. 60 is a magic number, so that Turtonator can then do 160, put him up to 220, which with the Fighting Fury belt is his effective number of hit points. So either attack will do here, and the thing is, Fabien can KO the Volcanion, but Nico doesn't care about that, because it won't give him the 2 prizes he needs to win, and if Fabien leaves that Seismitoad in the active after it takes a hit, he is definitely losing the game on Nico's next turn.
Very important turn now for Fabien. Can he do something about this? It doesn't look like he doesn't have any trainer card available to him. Karen does not matter, as you said. I think that's it.
Well, he could retreat into his undamaged Seismitoad, which would be able to take a hit, but I don't...
But then what?
Well, exactly. That's exactly my point, Julian. Because if he does that, Nico's going to go, all right, Steam Artillery for 100. Now you're in the exact same position. So Nico here will... Now, again, a Guzma double colourless will still win the game for Fabien. Oh, there's a Guzma! Nico wins the game. He wins a match 2-0, and Nico is our champion at the Bilbao Special Championships. That was pretty gosh darned exciting.
Yeah, he gets the